here, so it's ready to go.
Good to see you. that is like, Stephen looks very sharp. You see your mom putting the camera. Yeah, but when I just walked right there, I don't know where the camera is, but I saw that. That's what's streaming there.
We'll now begin our service with the lighting of the chalice by Donna's son John Titus, wife Adrian, and their two children, Julian and Jackson.
We light this chalice today to remind us of the light that my grandma brought into the world. May this small flame be the warmth of our memories and the glow of the life well lived.
Good morning and welcome.
Good morning.
I'm Chris Fraser. Donna's mother, Frieda, and my mother's mother were sisters. So as a first cousin to Donna, I'm pleased and honored to join you here today for this celebration of life for Donna Marion Titus. And as I look out here, I'm going to go off grid for just a second, as I am seeing so many bright colors and flowers and everything that Donna would have hoped for in a memorial service for those in attendance. And I'll go slightly further off grid. When I read that poem, I looked at my wife. I said, Diane, it's possible there's going to be a crowd full of people in Hawaiian shirts. Should I be getting out my Hawaiian shirt? She gave me a look, and a look that resulted in my current attire. The family does welcome everybody here today, including those who are joining us virtually. It looks like we've got at least 40 people that are joining us virtually as well today, so welcome to everybody, and thank you for coming. Though Donna's heart may have been in New England, I do know that the proximity here to her children, to her love of this church, her love of this congregation, and the love of her group of friends here, all of which combine to make Donna feel loved and at home here on Hilton Head. After today's service, please join the family in the foyer to share memories and for light refreshments. The pictures on the displays there are a testament to Donna's creativity and to love. You're invited to return to the sanctuary afterwards to enjoy the artwork of Donna Titus. Now I'm going to ask you to do me a favor. I'd like you to take a moment to just clear your minds. Your eyes can remain open if they want, or you can close your eyes. But please leave what is outside there. Forget even the building. Forget even the paintings on the walls for a moment, and simply be in yourself. Now imagine Donna Titus. Perhaps a memory, perhaps a picture of her in your mind, or simply perhaps her name on your lips. And now notice the faint smile that has come to your lips. And now become aware of how your heart feels uplifted. Now, you can open your eyes again, and perhaps we can all rise as you are willing and able, and join together in singing hymn number 38, Morning Has Broken.
Oh
Family, who would like to share some words? We'll begin today with Sarah Malonis. Sarah is Ellen's daughter and Donna's granddaughter.
So I am the oldest of Donna's 6 grandchildren. I am also the mother of her great-grandchild. And I was lucky enough to have my grandmother in my life as a child, a teenager, and as an adult. When I think about my relationship with my grandmother as a child, my memories are all good. I loved going to my grandma's, and I knew when I got there we would be doing something fun. And now that I have a child, I know that that fun did not happen by accident. She planned my visits. She started each visit by giving me options: playing with dolls, painting, Chinese checkers. She always gave me a choice. I remember sitting down with my grandmother and talking in detail about my favorite place. I described Star Island, the Isles of Shoals, and everything I loved about it. We talked about the lighthouse, the ocean, East Rock, the summer house, and the Oceanic, and the bell that we rang. She listened, and she delivered. Soon the 4 walls of my bedroom were painted from ceiling to floor with everything I had described. I had the coolest bedroom. When I was a teenager, I was busy. I played the clarinet in the band and was on the soccer team. And my grandmother was at my concerts, and when I scored a goal, she was on the sidelines cheering me on. She was incredibly involved in my life. She tried to teach me how to paint. She explained the difference between watercolor and oil paintings, and she gave me choices of different things I could paint. Unfortunately, I did not get that artist gene. As I got older, I still had choices. And even when I made the wrong ones over and over and over again, my grandmother never stopped loving me. My grandmother believed in me. When I became an adult, I moved from New England down to the South to live with my Aunt Ann. And not long after that, my grandmother and grandfather followed me. And then my Uncle John and my brother and my mom and David came too. And they all came because this is how my family is. I am part of an extremely close family, and a family that all loves each other no matter what. And right after my grandfather died, I found myself lost again, trying to find my way. My grandmother reached out to me. "Why don't you come and stay with me for a while? I will not act like your grandmother. We will be roommates, and you will pay me rent." And that was exactly what I needed. Blueberry muffins in the morning, dinner on the table, laundry washed and folded. I had never had a roommate like that before. Some of you are aware that my grandmother loved Qigong. It was a weekly class that she attended, and she asked me to join her. At first I thought it was ridiculous, but after seeing the joy that the class brought her, it became part of our weekly routine. Another time I was a new mom. I was struggling to make ends meet. How do I get to work? How do I take care of my child? I'm a single mom, I need a car. What a coincidence. That is when my grandmother decided that she was giving up driving. And she told me she wanted me to have her car. That was my grandmother, always there for me. When we went out for lunch that day that she signed the car over to me, she handed me an envelope. Inside that envelope was all of the money that I had given her for rent. I not only feel so lucky to have known her, but also so lucky to have been related to her. I could not have asked for a better grandmother, and I am grateful to have been the granddaughter of Donna Titus. And I will hold my memories in my heart of her forever.
believe my notes just left the podium. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you very much. Next we have Donna's cousin, Elisa Ann Clark. I'll take my notes with me this time.
Donna and I were not only cousins, we were sisters. Well, Chris is my cousin as well, because our mothers were one of 4 gals, and my mother was the oldest. Frieda, Donna's mother, was next. Then Bertha, who moved out to Nebraska and raised her children out there. And then our youngest aunt was Aunt Cotty. Her name was Marisa. Is it you that has the name Marisa, middle name? Yes, Sarah has that name. Just want to give you a little bit of background. Donna was named for her father, Donald Joseph Marion. And Donna's brother was named for her father, his father, Donald Joseph Marion. But they gave him the middle name of Theodore. And our family called him by Ted. Theodore was our great-great-uncle who came from Germany. So to us here, this family here, he's Teddy. To his family in the south, he's Don, because when he went south, he became Don. So it sounds strange to us to have him be called Don, and strange to them to have him be called Teddy, I'm sure. The first memory I have of Donna and Ted, really, is when they lived in Salem, Massachusetts. For you in the south, that's the witch city. You know, you've heard about that, the Salem trials and all that. And I don't remember a lot, but I remember the blue upright piano upstairs. Do you remember that, Ted? Yeah? And the only interaction I remember with Donna and Teddy was outside. I believe it was either a driveway or a passageway between their house, which was one of those 3-story ones, and the house next door. And we were out there playing, and I remember that. And then the second memory I have of her is when they moved to the small town near Newburyport, Massachusetts, that we grew up in on the river, the Merrimack River, which runs into the ocean at Newburyport. And they lived in a, they called it a farm, but we think a farm is, especially in the Nebraska folk, you know, no trees or anything, but they had some land, and I believe they had goats and chickens and things, but it was during that time that Donna had rheumatic fever, and she was in bed for 8 months. Nowadays, I believe they treat that with biotics, but when Donna was growing up, she was in bed. And her dad built her bookcases around her bed, and I thought that was so cool. And I would visit her quite a bit, maybe even stayed over. And her creativity began, she began painting while she was in bed, and she was the leader. She was older, 2 years older than I am. And I was the follower, and we made up a secret language, and we thought we were so smart. And we would just say this one sentence over and over again. And anyway, she eventually got over having to stay in bed, and she was healthy, pretty healthy all her life. The third memory that I have about Donna is when our family went to live with our grandfather in Newburyport. He was living alone by that time. His youngest daughter, Cotty, Marisa, had gotten married, and he asked our family to come live with him. It was an 18-room house. It was a big job. And so we went to live there. And at some point, the Marion family, Ted and Donna and Uncle Donnie and Frieda, came and lived there too. And Ted was up on the 3rd floor. He had his bedroom on the 3rd floor, only 2 up there, 2 bedrooms. My brother, who was in high school, had the other one. But Donna had the room with 5 doors in it. And everybody had to go through that room to get to the bathroom. Came up the stairs and straight ahead, went up a step or 2 and into the room. Keep going a little more and it went into the room. It was my bedroom over the kitchen. It was the room that came from Grandpa's room in the front of the house into that room. There was the bathroom door, and then there was another door that went down the back stairs to the kitchen and also to a couple of rooms in the back there where Donna and Teddy's parents stayed during that time that they were living at High Street. Well, I don't know who did it, Uncle Donnie, Grandpa, or my father, or all 3 of them, made a curtain arrangement around her bed, like in a hospital, you know? And so she could have some privacy, but everybody had to go through that room to get to the bathroom. I don't remember her complaining. Do you, Ted? I don't remember. Well, one of the things we did a lot of was singing, Donna and I, and maybe Ted. We had dish duty, and we would do a lot of singing. Girl Scouts, we were in Girl Scouts, that was those years. We would sing Girl Scout songs. Now, the interesting thing about that, and go tell Aunt Rhodey, and you know, you older folks probably know some of these, but I visited down here, Ann and Donna, a year ago in October, and I was so looking to coming down and singing those songs. And when I got down here, I couldn't remember one of them. And neither could Donna. But when I got home, they all came to me. Anyway, when we lived there was an old chicken coop, no longer chickens, and we used to play around in there, a little spin the bottle maybe. My mother got wind of that and put a padlock on it, but we played, remember we had cap guns, so I think we played Cowboys and Indians or Cops and Robbers or something. Now Donna, as I said, she was a leader. Now, the 3 of us, these 3 kids, Teddy's a year or 2 younger than I am, and I was in the middle, Donna 2 older. But she was the leader, and she was a thinker-upper, and she wrote a play. And we had to gather the parents in the parlor, the big room, Teddy, the big room, and we put on this play. Those long-suffering parents with the antics that we were up to. She also, we decided, and I don't think Teddy was involved with this, we had a library. We made a library, and I remember we made the little pockets to put the cards in. I don't know if we ever had a lot of children's books, you know, so we used those. And I don't know if anybody ever came and got any books. We decided we would do a little after-school nursery thing with some kids. So she and I went down to visit Miss Brown, who was our kindergarten teacher, and she gave us the names from 5 or 6 little girls, and we went and talked to their parents and said we will come and get them after school. We'll bring them out and do some fun things and have a little bit of refreshment, and we will bring them home for 25 cents. So we did that for a while. We had one little girl named Princess. She got a bee in her behind, in her underpants. Poor little thing, she got stung. And then their family moved back to West Newbury, the little small town that's near Newburyport, and lived in a different place. And they went to grammar school there, and it was from there that Ted left and went south and never went back to New England. And we went to grammar school, and let's see what else I got there. And it was from there that Donna got married to Ron Titus, who was in the service at the time and stationed in Germany. And I was in college my first year, and I had come home from, I was going to BU, Boston U, excuse me, and my grandfather and I, we were still living in High Street with Grandpa, and he and I were going up to West Newbury to have Thanksgiving dinner with Donna and her family, because she was going to be married at the end of December and off to Germany. And my grandfather fell and had a heart attack and died in the kitchen right there. and Thanksgiving Day. So that was something we will always remember, of course, you know. Well, I visited them in a lot of places. They eventually came back. They lived in West Newbury for a time. And Ann, am I correct in remembering you were born when they lived in West Newbury? And then they started moving around, and I know they were in Connecticut, 2 different places. I didn't visit them there. I was busy raising 4 kids under 4 years old. My youngest daughter will be speaking, my youngest only daughter will be speaking at the end. But I remember going to New Bedford, and they had a bomb shelter there, right? In that house. And Donna made the chocolate cake. How many of you know what I mean when I say the chocolate cake outside the family? Just a few people. And I don't remember where that recipe came from, but it was my birthday, and I remember she put cherries in it or something, and I don't like cherries, but I did my best. Anyway, I had those 4 Indian kids with me, my kids, and they were very gracious to me and put up with us. They moved to Ipswich, Mass., which is also on the coast, a small city. And what I remember about visiting her there, and that's only maybe half an hour from Newburyport, so I got to go there more often. They had the same floor as we had at High Street when we were living with our grandfather in the kitchen. It was an Armstrong kind of red plaid or sort of design. And eventually they got up to Manchester, and they lived in New Hampshire, and they lived several places there, and I visited them there with and without my children. And they had one place that was near the Merrimack River. It was a condo, and it was the same river that comes through Newburyport and empties into the ocean where we lived. They lived at the Boy Scout camp. Ron Titus, Donna's husband, was a professional, I think it was a fundraiser. Is that right? Is that what he did? I don't know. But anyway, they were living at the Boy Scout camp in the woods, and I've got a painting of hers, of John in the woods, and John is sitting on the ground. You know that painting, John? I've got that anyway. And I think it got bantered around with you girls, didn't you? It was something, Lisa and Debbie, I don't know, but anyway. And then they finally moved to Park Street or Park Avenue, which across the street was a park, and from there they moved south here. But when I remarried my husband Bill Clark, she used to come down. I would visit there, she would come down, and I had in my bedroom 2 windows with about this much on either side and on the walls. Now, what am I going to do with this? And I thought, maybe some sconces might be good. But then I thought, clipper ship. The next thing I know, my husband Bill is building me a clipper ship with sails of white handkerchiefs. Where can you get those nowadays? And a little picture of my brother as the captain, because he was the captain of a boat fishing, tuna fishing and so forth. A little black and white picture he put in there. And then, well, I've got this clipper ship. What are we going to do on the other side? A lighthouse might go with that. So he built me a lighthouse with a little house for the keeper, using real tar paper for the roof. Well, Donna came down to visit. She had her paints with her, and she painted ocean under the birds, the seagulls. And on this side, she painted some rocks that the lighthouse would sit on, and some water and some seagulls. And it was, to me, a marriage of these 2 creative people making something for me, 2 people that I love very much, that made something for me to enjoy till we moved from there. So those are my memories of Donna.
Thank you, Lisa. Next, we'll have Ann's oldest daughter and Donna's granddaughter, Emily Harrison.
Last time I was up here, I drank the minister's water, so I brought my own. 1.5 cups of flour, 1 cup of sugar, 1 teaspoon baking soda, 3 tablespoons of cocoa, 1/4 cup of shortening, 1 teaspoon of vanilla, 1 egg, and most importantly, 1 cup of sour milk. This is the recipe for the chocolate cake, as just mentioned. The recipe was passed down from my great-great-grandmother, Arminta. My grandmother, Donna, made this cake hundreds of times over the last 36 years of my life. I'm not sure if the women before her baked it for every occasion, but that was the case for us. When we were younger, my cousins and I would giggle and gossip together about it. It would make its ceremonious debut on any number of dining room tables at any number of celebrations. "Oh, here it is, the chocolate cake," we'd say dramatically, along with maybe an eye roll or two, as teenagers do, not yet understanding the value of time-honored tradition, heartfelt inheritance, and just how lucky we were to belong to a crowded table. The eye rolls may have had some good reason, though, because the cake was most often dry. A little crumbly, despite the best efforts of the sour milk. This was not unlike my grandmother. She was quite dry in her delivery, and often, like my grandfather, her humor. No dilly-dallying with bedside manner or any kind of facade, which some may mistake as cynical or austere, but she was just matter of fact. In a past letter she wrote to me, "Don't forget to vote, if our country survives until then." And while that seems dark and pessimistic, she wasn't afraid to recognize unfortunate truths. I liked that you knew what you were getting with her. No guessing games. Where the frosting would usually provide some relief of moisture, that part was just a little thick, a bit of a hard shell. I saw that with her too. She was unapologetic, particularly when it came to her moral compass and feminist values. She was enduring and solid, much like a New England winter. But complex too, because while her exterior may have been resolute, inside were soft snow clouds perfect enough to paint. A youthful spirit, boundless stories full of family lore, life, and love. And you need both, the frosting with the cake, and such the cake with the frosting. Unlike the recipe, the candles on this cake have varied over the years, different colors for different festivities. On occasion, though, a standard-sized taper, meant for a candlestick, was used. Has anyone ever taken a full-size candle from their dining room table and stuck it in a cake? She didn't know it, but that's comedy. My grandfather got a lot of attention for his humor, and rightfully so, as it was unmatched. But as someone who deeply loves a good joke and lives to make my loved ones laugh, I think her frank disposition made for some impeccable wit, likely unknowingly, which is honestly even better, truly funny nonetheless. I think she would like how many laughs have been shared amongst the family in between the tears since she passed. This cake has no fancy ingredients, no Madagascar vanilla beans, gluten-free almond flour, or ceremonial grade cacao. The 8 ingredients haven't changed much at all in a century. That feels like stability, tradition, feelings rooted in history, a family tree. Kitchen timers, a well-worn bunk pan, a good hug. Poems scribbled in worn journal margins. Trinkets collected in empty jars. Her mother's bureau. Much like the cake mix, these things are deep-rooted, simple, and important to keep. It's the best cake I've ever had. Before she died, the torch was passed to my brother-in-law, Zach, to carry on the baking tradition. We're grateful and a bit sorry. This is your legacy now. Her legacy, of course, extends far beyond one cake recipe. There's also the infamous blueberry muffins and the cranberry squares, the art, the poetry, the stories. Being a teacher, a loving mother, a present and unyielding grandmother, all of which are the lifeblood of our family. How lucky are we to have loved and been loved by such a force?
Zach, it seems to me you took that mantle on, and didn't you start right out by doing 2 cakes? Oh, that was a big one. And Ellen Titus, Donna's daughter, obviously, is going to be joining us now.
Everybody blow your nose quick. Get it over. That's it. I don't need any sniffling right now. So when I was thinking, what am I going to do? I thought, well, of course, I'm going to play a song because she would expect that. And so I will play something for her. So I was thinking, what should I play? What could I play? Oh, she loved the seasons, you know, and the painted ponies go up and down, and the seasons. And I'm telling my daughter, I'm like, so I think I might play that with Mom. You're not playing the seasons song. You're going to play the song you wrote for her. If I can find it. So I wrote this song, so as you hear it, you'll know that some of it's a little dated, but it talks about Ann, Ellen, Kate, and John, and she was a mother, and that was one of her biggest claims to fame, was that she was a really good mother, and she was an artist. So you'll hear those 2 messages coming across in this song. I did play it at her 65th birthday, but yeah, I found it. When I was growing up, you see, my mother, she was there for me. I lived a life so very nice, I didn't know then the sacrifice. My mother is an artist, it lives within her soul. She's always been an artist, it makes her spirit whole. When I was growing up, you see, my mother spoke good English. We could never say ain't, but we could always sketch or paint. It didn't matter if we made a mess or spilled paint on the floor. She always seemed to encourage us and let us paint some more. My mother is an artist. She paints the sky and tree. She paints the rocks every day. We were closer now than ever before. I was always at her house, I had a key to the door. And now that I'm a grown adult, she told these things to me. Always do the best you can. Write to Kate and telephone in. Live your life, be the best you can be. Sing your song and keep in touch with John. My mother is an artist. It lives within her soul. We will always love her. Mom, we love you so. Mom, we love you so. Mom, we love you so.
Thank you, Ron. That was beautiful. Ann's other daughter, Joanna Harrison. Also Donna's granddaughter.
A poem for my grandma. One thing is true, she was more than her things, more than her quirks, her collection of works. In the oils and brushes lived adventure, point of view, studied, purposeful, what she held to be true. Go stand in her closet, its own blue-green sea, and in the threads and the seams, you'll see New England daydreams. Practical maybe, but always with gusto. Nestled in the postcards, the stamps and the scraps, a web of connection, well wishes and hopes, hellos from afar, paper hearts in a jar. Decades of warmth, filling notes and envelopes, and newspaper clippings, clippings, clippings. Things are just things, but since I have loved what is mortal, I'll share what I see. I see a blank canvas on a humble matchbox, the crowded table around the cake, the playfulness of the sprinkles, the seriousness of the bake. I hear the background noise of the Red Sox, shades of blue in the ocean wake. I see the loveliness of a poem and the frivolity of that word. I notice shapes in the clouds, the blue-gray feathers of a bird. I see her proudest accomplishments around that crowded table, and I will hold them close and treasure her things as long as I am able. Thank you.
Finally, this morning we will hear from Lisa Ann Clark's daughter, and thus Donna's first cousin once removed, Elizabeth Bridgewater.
It is very colorful out there. I recently heard a story about how bacteria on a baker's hands gets infused into the microbiome of the sourdough he or she is kneading, and that this bacteria, or schmutz, as it's called in Yiddish, is an essential catalyst to the fermentation process that gives sourdough its unique tangy flavor. It's also part of what makes it a living organism that requires food and water to stay alive. And when a piece of that dough is broken off and saved as starter for the next loaf, the schmutz the baker kneaded into the dough is preserved and passed on through the new starter, in some cases for hundreds of years. It's remarkable to think that successive bakers decades later are quite literally touching the schmutz of their ancestors and adding their own bacteria to the mix to be utilized by future generations. When viewed in this light, the immense responsibility for keeping the sourdough starter alive comes into view. As far as I know, we don't have any schmutzy sourdough starter being passed through the different hands in our family, but we do have something else that carries an equal amount of weight, responsibility, and dare I say, reverence. Our schmutz is stories and pictures and books and art and family treasures. Taken together, these things animate our ancestors and keep alive those that came before us. And in the telling and the showing and the giving, they help us locate ourselves in the vastness of our family tree, telling us over and over, you belong. Donna accepted the weight of this responsibility with grace and creativity. I remember as a child, we would often gather on Christmas afternoon at Aunt Cotty and Uncle Bob's beautiful home for an extended family and friends meal. At the center of this gathering were 3 of the 4 Castelhun sisters. Elisa, my grandmother, and my mom, Elisa Ann's mother, Aunt Frieda, Donna's mother, and Aunt Cotty, Chris's mother, their younger sister. After the meal, some of us would gather around the piano and sing raucous renditions of well-known Gilbert and Sullivan choruses, with Aunt Cotty playing as fast as she could while the rest of us sped through the ridiculous lyrics, while each song inevitably ended in peals of laughter. At these gatherings, Donna would school me on where I sat on the family tree and how we were connected. Every year she would remind me, we're first cousins once removed. She would tell me that Janie and Rick were first cousins, but we were second cousins with Anne, Ellen, Kate, and John. She would tell me stories about how for a time when she and my mom grew up together at 51 High Street in Newburyport, they would entertain each other by concocting theater scenes complete with songs they would sing in harmony, Donna's creativity already showing up at a very young age. Later, Donna painted a giant quilt, which you can see at the back of the church today. It depicted various women and friends, female friends of our family, some who at the time were still alive, but many of those that had since died. The quilt became another vehicle to tell stories of our family. We would stand before it, and Donna would point out who was who and how we were connected. She would share a short anecdote about each person. This is your second cousin over here. Look over here, this is your third cousin, twice removed. It's a skill I have. I'm very good at family gatherings. And there I was among the women of our family. She had captured me. I'm in the corner holding a child, actually Janie's daughter, Sarah. I was 15 years old at the time. And it was actually a time in my life that was characterized by deep challenges. And it was as if Donna was saying, no matter how you feel inside, you belong. You're among us on the family tree. Modern research on mental health has confirmed that the very foundation of well-being is a feeling of belonging and connection. And when that is severed, great suffering happens. Did Donna know this when we stood before that quilt at that moment in my life, when she was providing proof and colorful evidence that I was a cherished member of the family? Did she have this in mind when she gifted to my mother a small leaded glass vial with the initials of my second great-grandmother delicately etched on its silver cap, a vial recently given to me by my mother and that will eventually land in the hands of Emily, Donna's granddaughter, a gift coming full circle through 8 generations of women? I don't think so. Donna wasn't a woman who shared deep feelings. As a reserved New Englander, she preferred stories over emotions, and she expressed herself through art. But the impact of those stories, the impact of that art, and the impact of passing along those family treasures was felt deeply and is felt deeply by me and others in her orbit. This was her schmutz that she so carefully infused into the bread of our family, bread that has nourished so many of us. And like a good sourdough starter, she's passed it on to us to remind us that we are family and we belong. Thank you, Donna, for this gift, for this legacy of love and connection. Your schmutz is now in our hands. May we honor you by nurturing it with our own telling, with our own giving, and with our own reminders that we belong.
Perhaps we can stand again and join together and sing hymn number 123, Spirit of Life. Please be seated. Many of the paintings Donna has done in her lifetime have either been sold or given away. What we have here today are the pieces owned by her children who live here on Hilton Head. After a refreshment in the foyer, please feel free to return to the sanctuary to spend some time enjoying the exhibit of Donna's artwork. I was reminded earlier, if you have not already signed the guest book, please do. Again, the family thanks you for coming, along with special thanks to all those who have helped to make this service possible, and to all those who have reached out in the last few weeks. So many of you sent cards, brought food, opened up your homes, and provided comfort. The family has felt your love, and they want you to know that they are deeply grateful. Thank you. Special thanks to John Shepard, our pianist. And to Dave for assisting in the streaming services, and for Ryan on sound in the back. And to the UUCL for providing all of the coffee and desserts. As we conclude, surrounded by Donna's artwork, in the church that she was so very fond, perhaps you feel the embrace of Donna's spirit. And so, with the thought of Donna in your minds, a small smile comes, and our hearts are lifted. Now please stand, and we will end this service with the extinguishing of the chalice, as John and Adrian, Jalen, and Jackson will join us. And after the service, during the exit music, the family will leave first so they can greet you in the foyer.
We invite you to read these words with us in your program. While we extinguish this flame, we still carry in our hearts the light of truth, the warmth of community, and the fire of commitment, until we are together again.
Spin this. Spin it. Yeah, I'm taking it off.
Excuse me, Dave. Oops, sorry.
Wow. Yeah. So the date on there? 2008?
2005.
Really? I didn't notice that.
Talk about sense of humor.
This is Kathleen Kelly. Say hi.
Hi.
going to start the slideshow. Can you hold this?
Yep.
I just want to get from here, the second half, just kind of focus on the pictures so the streamers can see it.
Okay.
Okay? Just walk around and see what's on there. So if you want to get a little bit...
But I don't have. Well, that doesn't just be with us. That would be I know Barb is here. I saw her. I got right behind you.
Do you want me to look at the paintings or the crowd?
Paintings.
Okay. I'm very confused with the lenses here. Like, what is this? It's not going either one. Oh shit. This is the most confusing thing I've ever done.
Let me mute the sound because this music.